everyone. Thanks so much for joining us on today's episode of the Really Fine Podcast, the RFP. I'm Kelly Gann. I'm president of Freestyle Creative, and joining me today is my co-host, Vahid Farzana, Freestyle's founder and CEO, and we're really excited about today's guest. Our first guest in 2021 is Trevor Rogers. Trevor is the executive director of the Film Education Institute of Oklahoma, or the FEIO for short. Trevor, thanks for hanging with us today.
Woohoo, 2021. Thank you.
Survived.
So excited.
We're a weekend, so.
Thank goodness.
Yes, we are a weekend, so it's good. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started with some of the fast facts about you, Trevor. What's the best thing or the best movie or film or show that you binge watched in 2020?
There were two that really come to mind. Definitely The Mandalorian, huge Star Wars fan. You can never go wrong with Baby Yoda and what Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are cooking up. I loved everything about the last season. And so I'll take anything Star Wars. And then Ted Lasso was probably the biggest surprise to me and was just such a awesome joy of something that just kind of made you feel good, made you laugh, something to root for, with how crazy and tough last year was.
I needed it, yeah.
I've heard great things about that.
Yeah.
It's on my queue list. It's the next thing I'm gonna watch. I've heard great things about it.
It will warm your heart. And as a big fan, like I love the Premier League, like to see all that, how they brought it to life and make fun of it. They just knocked it out of the park. So big Ted Lasso guy here.
Nice.
Trevor, what Star Wars spinoff are you the most excited for coming up?
Oh man. I think I'm really excited about the Ahsoka Tano series. I'm a huge Star Wars nerd and watched the Clone Wars and Rebels and finally to see Rosario Dawson play one of what I think is one of the best Star Wars characters ever created, bring that character to life was just awesome. And so I'm really excited to see her story really fleshed out and hopefully some more familiar characters in the Star Wars universe come through. But all of them, all of the shows look amazing. I'm really excited about all of them.
I want to talk about Obi-Wan with you after the podcast.
Oh, yes.
After this,
we keep hearing about Obi-Wan and we've known about it for a few years. And with all of the announcements, it's like I've almost forgotten about it. But I'm so excited for that. I love Ewan McGregor. And I'm really excited to see what he's doing on a desert.
Yeah, definitely excited for all the films coming up this year. Speaking of films, so as far as filmmakers go, who's your favorite filmmaker?
Okay. It's always like asking like who's your favorite kid?
You sure you don't have a favorite kid?
Yeah.
Some people do.
Yeah, that's true. I love Ridley Scott. I'm a huge fan of Alien. It's my all-time favorite movie. Obviously Blade Runner, Gladiator, just to name a few. Black Hawk Down. I think he's an awesome storyteller. He knows how to deliver suspense and action. He's very intense and very demanding, and I love the creativity that he has. I love what he. You look at like the story of Alien and how it got made, and it was kind of supposed to be a B movie, and it winds up becoming this cult classic. One of the biggest film franchises of our time, and it just came from his mind. From being able to look at that script and turn it into something that was truly horrifying and truly unnerving. And so that's when I get to teach, that's always the film that I always go back to is Alien and Ridley Scott.
Alien. Yeah, it's a good movie.
Yeah, my wife still won't watch it. She was the movie, and I've tried to get her for years, and she just will not come close to it.
Wow, that's interesting. But yeah, so how long have you been involved in the Oklahoma film community?
Yeah, so I'm still relatively young to the world of filmmaking and to Oklahoma's film community. I've been working in film and TV for 6 years now. And I've worked every job from a production assistant to a locations manager. I've done craft services. I've been an electrician, a grip, camera operator. And now I when I freelance, I work as a unit production manager and line producer. Do a lot of the logistics and hiring processes for shows that come through. And more recently, have started this working in this development program to help grow our crew base, because that's kind of found where more of my heart is at and my passion's at, is getting more people to enjoy some of the same experiences that I've gotten to do.
So when we were chatting with you, you originally started in sports. What inspired you to go down the film path instead?
Yeah, so I was a sports producer for 5 years for CBS Digital, CBS Sports, and 247 Sports. Covered OU football and got to do a lot of cool, exciting things there. But I think some of it just came out of boredom. It was fun covering, a team like OU and getting to do some of those things, but there was a monotony to it. It was repetitive, and I wanted to be a storyteller. I always wanted to be a storyteller. And growing up in Oklahoma, you don't realize that what your options are to become a storyteller. You think if I want to make movies, I got to move to Hollywood or I got to move to New York. And I learned that, relatively recently, that you don't have to. And so I wasn't being able to tell the stories that I wanted to tell as a sports producer. I knew that there was something more out there. And so the film industry drew me in, and now it owns me for life. I love what I do.
So tell us about the story behind FBIO. What inspired you to get this started?
Yeah. So coming from sports, coming from broadcasting, there's a lot that gets lost in translation, and there is a gap from the world of broadcasting to the world of filmmaking. And so I ultimately went back and went to school, and went to film school at Oklahoma City Community College, who has, believe it or not, just a world-renowned, unbelievable film program, multi-million-dollar soundstage, awesome equipment, and wonderful instructors. And I went through that program and was actually going to move to Atlanta to go work on a TV show down there. And I met my boss at Nathan Gardaki Productions. I met Nathan on a shoot, and he offered me a job to come work for him here. I told him that I wanted to be a line producer, and that's what he does for a living. And he mentored me through that. And so we got together, and having recently come out of film school, making that transition, we knew that there was a relatively large movie, at least relatively large at the time. It's about a $5 million movie that was going to be coming through, that was on top of about 3 other movies shooting at the exact same time. And we knew that there wasn't enough crew to go around. And so he and I got to talking. He was like, do you know anybody in school that we could train up really quickly and bring out? And we kind of just tried to figure out what does that look like? What can we even do? So ultimately we were like, we've got all these millions of dollars of film equipment. We have all of our friends that work in the business on a daily basis. Why don't we call them up? Let's get all our equipment out. We'll find a place, and let's have these students that are in school. Let's make a movie, and let's make a movie the real way, the way that you would on these large productions. And so that was our first workshop in the fall of 2017. And we had 33 students participate, and 21 of them got hired immediately to go work on that movie. And a lot of them are now they're members of the Directors Guild. They're members of IATSE. the two big film unions, the staff a lot of these larger productions. We provided a lot of new members to both of those organizations, and it was wildly successful. And we had no idea what we were doing, and people loved it, and we kind of learned it was a great networking opportunity to bridge student from professional. And so over the years, we as the program grew, as we did more and more, we realized that what we were doing was outgrowing NGP. And thus we decided, in order to really take us where we wanted to go and be able to provide the training that our state needed, Nathan and I got together in 2019 and said, let's start a nonprofit. And so that's where the FEIO came from, is directly from our workshops. And now it's all about continuing those workshops, continuing to be the bridge from student to professional, and as well as providing all sorts of other training avenues for our students as well as our teachers, because we're trying to build a really large workforce here. We want to make Oklahoma a premier filming destination, and it starts with a strong crew base. And it all just came from Nathan and the equipment and the workshops that we got to do, a few years ago.
We got the chance to visit some of these workshops that you've done over the years, and the level of education that students receive it's impressive. It's a lot, and there's a lot that goes into these workshops. Kind of tell us what students can expect when they jump into one of these FEIO workshops.
Yeah, so it is, for all intents and purposes, it's a movie. It's a real movie. And what we're doing is we don't tell people we're a film school, because we're not. We have great educational institutions here, and we love them all. And they do all wonderful, amazing things and specialize in a lot of cool areas in our industry. And so there's hundreds, if not thousands, of jobs on a film set. And so what we do is we bring them together. And when you get your training in school, you have to be able to be given an environment to go showcase your skills. And I talk to some of my lawyer friends that always tell me, like, law school doesn't prepare you to be a lawyer. I'd make the argument that the same, obviously I've never been to law school, but the film school doesn't prepare you to be a filmmaker. It gives you a lot of training and a lot of tools and techniques that you're definitely going to use. But one reason that I got so drawn into the film industry and why I love it so much is every job and every day is different. You could be doing the exact same role from your first movie to your last movie, and it's totally relearning it every time. So our workshops are to really simulate that trial by fire, where the students, they come in, we hand them about $1.5 million of equipment, and then they work under the guidance of a trained professional that has worked on some of the biggest movies all over the world, and they serve as their department head. So we're talking, key grips, gaffers, photographers, directors, production designers. All of those above the line and department head positions are professionals. The rest of the movie is staffed by students. And so the students truly are lighting it. They are rigging all of the stands. They are operating all of the cameras. They're moving the dollies. They're running the production. And they get that hands-on experience, thrown to the wind to go see what they're capable of, because it's such a stressful environment. It's a hard place to find your niche and to fit in, and you either sink or swim. And what we found was, too many good people were kind of getting washed out of this business way too early on, because they didn't have that proper communication. Like I said, we're not film school. We call ourselves film set school. And it's the idea of, we train you to work on set. You have the skills to go do this. Now you need to learn how to go demonstrate those skills, how to communicate it effectively with the department head, how to handle the lights, how to handle the camera, how to run the production. And it's a safe environment where they can fail, where things can go wrong, and it's okay. Because our instructors at the end of the day are ultimately looking for those that have those skills and more importantly, those that are going to continue to be trainable, and continue to have the drive to show up, work a 14-hour day, get off set, and then go do it again the next day, because that's the business. And we couldn't love what we do more. It's fun to see our professionals love doing it. They love teaching. Our students, like by the end of it, when they see, holy cow, what did we just do? All of this equipment, like their jaws drop. And that's such a rewarding feeling, because afterwards, you'll have students that come up and say, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And for them to be able to go touch it, see it, be a part of a world that not many people get to experience. Not many people get to step onto a movie set. They're a part of kind of an elite company, a very unique community film family, that's just a wonderful feeling to watch them go through.
Wow, Trevor. I mean, I love the passion. This is amazing. I mean, Oklahoma Film, like, it makes me think about a lot of the other projects I've been a part of. But yeah, anyway, so now that you're executive director of FEIO, from a marketing standpoint, how do you plan on getting the message out to help more up and coming filmmakers?
It's about establishing a presence and a brand. It's about getting our message out on social media, and communicating what we're doing effectively through our website. And so everything is, we're in the digital age. Every bit of information is right on your phone. It's kept in your pocket. And so that's something that I'm having to learn on the fly, and work with you guys at Freestyle, to get that message out, to convey it effectively, and to show that, that there's gravitas to what we're doing. There is a brand behind this, and that's what people are looking for. I feel like that they're looking for someone to trust, someone to guide them through this process, because it's scary. It's scary stepping into the world of filmmaking. It's scary stepping into any career field. And so, using the power of marketing and the power of effective brand strategy has really helped us a lot, and will continue to help us to quell those fears for our students, and that's what we're looking for, is to have a brand that's friendly and effective for people to reach out, and take that next step.
Absolutely. And I mean, as you know, like there's been a lot of big strides over the years in Oklahoma in the film community, film industry. And then now we have the addition of the Prairie Surf Studios in downtown, which is a huge deal. Oklahoma City, right in downtown, we have a massive studio. So that is incredible. What do you hope to see in the film industry here in Oklahoma in the next 5 years?
Sustainability. I'm optimistic over the next 5 years, and I'm glad you mentioned Prairie Surf, because they're a huge player, and it's amazing to see what they're doing. And we're fortunate enough to play a small part in what they're building downtown. And we'll have more news on that coming soon. But we're really excited about what they're bringing to the table. And it's something that we've just never had before. We've never had that kind of space to make movies, to attract large productions, big Hollywood stars on a regular basis. And I'm so excited to see that. But what I think I'm most excited about is the idea of Oklahomans being these content creators, of Oklahoma developing its own Taika Waititi, its own Tyler Perry, somebody to call their own, and have stories, written by Oklahomans for Oklahomans, where all of the revenue that's generated from a feature film comes directly back here into the pockets of those who helped make it. I want to see content creators get a chance to tell their stories. And I think with what we're doing with the FEIO, with what is going to happen with Prairie Surf, it's not a distant reality. It's actually very close to being able to achieve something like that. I'm really optimistic that someday we won't have to rely on Hollywood to come to Oklahoma. that Oklahoma will be able to tell its stories for the rest of the world to see. And I think that that's going to happen very, very soon.
Trevor, you're always the first person I go to ask about the state of the Oklahoma film industry. So tell us more about some of these exciting things that are happening for film in our state.
Yeah, absolutely. As I'm sure most of you are aware, Martin Scorsese is making a large movie up in the northeastern part of the state. And so we're really excited to see that come to fruition. And we'll have a lot of Oklahomans working on that. There is a large production that's going to be shooting at the studio downtown at Prairie Surf Studios that starts shooting. They start principal photography at the end of the month. And that's a movie over $20 million. We just wrapped a $20 million movie about the life of Ronald Reagan, starring Dennis Quaid. And that wrapped just in November. And they'll actually be coming back to finish, to actually add on and add some shots in the spring. And so what we're seeing is a scale of production is just increasing dramatically. When like I mentioned earlier, that first movie that started our workshops is a $5 million movie. At the time, that was like the largest movie that was coming through our state. And it was a huge deal, and it staffed, about 100 people, 120 people. Well, now we're moving into the echelon of movies that need 200 to 300 people at a time. And, gone from $5 million budgets to $20 million budgets. And then to hear names, like Jamie Foxx or shopping projects to come here. Companies like Amazon, Netflix, Hulu, Disney, all looking to bring production here to Oklahoma. Those things are very, very, very close. And we're super excited about the scale of production that's coming through. You're seeing people be able to work more efficiently and more effectively on some of these larger shows. We're seeing a pay increase for a lot of our crew base as they work on these larger movies, and just kind of a point of pride, being able to see a lot of the movies that are come through, hit the big screen and get, worldwide distribution. That's really cool. That's really, really cool to see that. And so I expect more of that. That's definitely on the horizon. TV shows are coming here. FX just picked up Reservation Dogs, which is a Taika Waititi and Sterling Harjo project. So there's your local content creator right there. Sterling is an Oklahoman who wants to make movies about Oklahomans and particularly the Native community here in our state. So just some wildly exciting things that I would have never in a million years imagined growing up in Norman, Oklahoma. You'd hear Hollywood is here on a regular basis. I never thought that was an opportunity.
I feel like there's been just a ton of positive momentum in the past couple of years. I mean, a lot of this has been in the works, even before we were in the industry, a lot of hard work just over time. But Trevor, for people who are getting involved, attending workshops, supporting the FEIO, how are some of the other ways that the FEIO is going to make all of these really cool developments continue to be a reality for the state of Oklahoma?
Yeah, so I couldn't emphasize enough how lucky I am for the people that came before us. Like even Nathan, like my mentor, my boss for the last 4 years, building this rental house that has all this equipment, being able to put it in people's hands. Like there's a big effort to get us where we are today. And I couldn't be happier with the people that have done it. And so the FEIO gets to play its part in taking Oklahoma to the next level by providing, more training opportunities. We say, we're organically cultivating an industry here. And so one thing that we're really excited about, and one reason why we've moved outside of the building of NGP and what we've done with just the workshops alone, is we realized that wasn't enough. And so it's not just about the networking connection of bringing students into the workforce. It's also further developing our curriculum. It is further developing a base to recruit potential workers out of. And so I think the thing that I'm most excited about, kind of what we're doing at the FEIO, is utilizing all of our institutions that are already teaching media creation in our state. Oklahoma has a wonderful career tech system. We couldn't be, more fortunate to have them see the demand for what's on the horizon, and for them to get excited about what's coming up. And so we're launching a Teach the Teachers initiative, where we are retraining, with the aid of professional filmmakers and instructional designers. We're reteaching a lot of our career tech teachers to implement elements of filmmaking into the classroom. So for high school students, career tech students that are getting ready to go to college or enter the workforce, they can do so at a much earlier stage in their lives. And so we're that alone right there is going to open up a massive pool of resources to be able to get people into our industry, because we're talking about thousands of jobs over the next few years. And so it starts with just a big recruiting push. And then furthermore, we have amazing, higher ed institutions with OU, OCU, UCO, OCCC, OSU, OKC, that all have programs or are starting programs. And they look to us for guidance on what to craft. The thing that we're most fortunate and excited for is that we have an unbelievable, passionate crew base behind us that's willing to lend their knowledge and to teach what it takes to work in this business and pass on their skills to the next generation of crew. And so we're looking at all of those avenues. We've got multiple different ways to flow students into the workforce, multiple different training opportunities. That's what we're looking at.
Oklahoma is getting a lot more attention, it seems, in regards to location for future productions. So let's say future productions are eyeing, Georgia, Louisiana, Oklahoma. What do you think are some of those top differentiators for our state when, productions are looking for a place to film?
I think it starts with a highly competitive rebate. Oklahoma has a really competitive and effective film incentive to lure productions here, where productions can get cash back directly from the state to help alleviate some of that cost. It puts money in the pockets of our workforce here, and helps productions, because it's an incredibly expensive industry, helps productions spend their money a little more wisely. Because what you'll find is it doesn't matter the size of the budget. It could be a $250,000 movie, or it could be a $250 million movie, and you're never going to have enough time, and you're never going to have enough money. Like you just never will. And so what you look for is anyone that can just help make it a little easier. And so it starts there. And then furthermore, it goes to a crew base. Oklahoma is developing a crew base that's incredibly moldable, that's eager and excited. And you kind of have that, the Oklahoma standard, Oklahoma hospitality behind it. And that's very, that's a very attractive to productions coming from out of state. That's one reason they really want to come here, is they know that the crew that they get here is going to be very passionate, very patient, and very professional. And so those are the two biggest things. And then the resources that are being developed, the infrastructure, post-production houses, studios, crew base, all of those other things. It's coming here. And it's starting here. And so as we continue to add more of those resources, it only makes Oklahoma an even more attractive destination for movie making.
Absolutely. In Oklahoma, we're getting so much depth now. I mean, that's what I keep saying. So thank you for everything that you're doing with that. Yes, really appreciate that. That's really good for Oklahoma and the films to come here in Oklahoma. And when we spoke earlier, you said one of your top goals for 2021 is to help, put more people to work in the industry. And so how do you plan on doing that with the FEIO, and how can more people get involved with the workshop?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's entirely what we're about with the FEIO, is getting people into one of the most unique and exciting industries in the world. We want to put people who are passionate into the workforce. We want to help them find their careers forever. And so it starts with working closely with the new studios that are here, and taking their needs, and figuring out how many more people do we need, how many programs do we need to develop, and how many people is it going to take to staff these productions that are coming through. And so being that intermediary between the two is just crucial for us. And it's really exciting to be able to be in that position. So the FEIO is here to continue to be that bridge from student to professional. We're going to continue to open that pool of people that can get into this business. A lot of students still are unaware that, you can make movies right here in Oklahoma. There's people all over our state that we're just now opening their eyes to what's on the horizon. And that's so cool for us to see and to be a part of, because it's just a lot of untapped resources. And so the recruiting effort alone is going to be huge for us. We're really excited to be a part of that and to grow that workforce. And once we get people, once we get their foot in the door, then we'll help them take those next steps to develop their careers, form a career path, and carve their niche into this business. So between our workshops, our training programs with teachers, working with our partnership institutions, all of the schools that are behind us, lots and lots of opportunities to bridge those students into there. I think a lot, I can't be stated enough. My wife comes from a PR background, from a marketing background. When she was in college, she had PR SSA, and I think that's awesome. And that's kind of in some part where our inspiration came from, is you have those organizations that want to throw you out into the workforce and will help connect you. We never had that for filmmaking here. And so that's what we aim to be, is we aim to be that guidance counselor for students that are stepping into this business. And it's going to really, increase our numbers very quickly over the next couple of years, because we're talking about thousands of people, thousands of jobs.
Wow. Well, Trevor, so today is the official first day as executive director. So only one day in, you're already doing so much. How does it feel?
It's it's surreal. This is the first time in my life that I've ever been my own boss. And I'm learning a lot. And so I'm fortunate enough that I'm still at least in a comfortable environment where I'm around my friends and mentors that have trained me for this moment. And so I'm still here for a few more weeks. But it's exactly what I've been dreaming about since I started at NGP. And I've had an amazing first day. I say it's my first official day. We've been working on this for almost 3 years to be able to pull this off. And so to finally be in that moment, to get to call myself an executive director, it's a big deal. It means a lot. And so I'm very thankful for everyone that helped me get here to this moment. And there's a lot more work to be done. I couldn't emphasize enough how excited I am for all the things that we're going to be doing.
I think this is just the start of a lot of really good things on the horizon for Oklahoma film. And Trevor, thanks for all you're doing. You definitely inspire us, and making all of us kind of come together and wanting to do the best we can for our industry. So thank you so much. And thanks for joining us on the podcast today, and for just sharing everything that's going on with the FEIO and with our industry. And we can't wait to see what's next for this organization in this next year. And so for our listeners today, be sure to follow the FEIO on social and check out feiok.org to learn more about how you can support and get involved with the Oklahoma Film Education Institute of Oklahoma. And guys, that's all for today's episode of the RFP. Thanks so much for joining us, and have a great day.